Now to the end of daylight saving time. After this weekend, Americans will see less daylight in the afternoons because of the biannual clock change. And that means the return of the long-standing debate over whether we should do away with time changes altogether. Emily Aikita is here to break down the latest.
The return of a timeless debate over whether the U.S. should goodnight its twice-a-year clock changes.
Anyone else not ready for it to be dark when you get out of work?
From TikTok to late night, even celebrities have weighed in.
What I like about it is it allows me to know that spring is really here.
In March, our clock sprang forward, extending daylight later into the evening. Now on Sunday, the clocks will fall back, allowing for an earlier sunrise and an extra hour of sleep. Something Swifties in Indianapolis will be celebrating after meeting Taylor Swift at midnight for her final concerts in the U.S. this weekend.
Welcome to the Eras Tour.
Daylight saving time first clocked in during World War I as an attempt to conserve energy during the warmer months. But since then, times have changed. One new survey shows nearly 2/3 of Americans want to do away with the flip-flopping, and some lawmakers agree. In the last 6 years, 20 states have enacted legislation that would make daylight saving time permanent, arguing it would reduce crime and boost physical activity with brighter evenings. But in order to take effect, Congress first has to pass the Sunshine Protection Act, reintroduced last year. Senator Marco Rubio, who sponsored the bill, writing this week, "It's time to lock the clock and stop enduring the ridiculous and antiquated practice of switching our clocks back and forth."
I still haven't found a clear reason why we do this incredibly stupid ritual here in the United States of sunset at 4 in the afternoon.
Though the country has tried it before in 1974 and reversed course within a year after a series of traffic accidents. Without falling back, cities like Seattle and Detroit wouldn't see the sunrise in January until 9 a.m. And so in the meantime, experts say, here's how to prepare. Avoid caffeine in the afternoon, limit your screen time, and practice calming activities before bed like reading a book or sipping on tea as the clock confusion ticks on.
Daylight saving time ends this Sunday, November 3rd, with clocks rolling back 1 hour at 2 a.m.